Good evening, Mr. Rom.
Good evening.
I believe you are a proponent of the Truth and Reconciliation Party of South Africa. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, me, my friends, are for real truth and real reconciliation. And as regarding truth should be emphasized and known and be aware. People should be aware of the truth, not only in South Africa or not only concerning South Africa, but basically the whole world.
Okay. And why is this relevant to South Africa in the current times?
Well, everything, if one wants to compare, or even sometimes one is shown that even when people think it is not relevant, it is actually relevant.
Okay. There's another question. What makes the Truth and Reconciliation Party important to the majority of South Africans? If one were to say that one as a political party would want to acquire at least a fair and substantial portion of the votes, is there anything specific that will attract the poorest of the poor necessarily?
Well, real peace, real reconciliation works. Real peace, real reconciliation always works for the benefit of everybody, of all sides.
Okay.
Without no revenge, no bitterness, real truth, real reconciliation, release of prisoners who were rejected by Tutu's Commission, etc. Yes, it would work for the benefit of everybody.
Okay, is there anybody that you can think of that is not, let's say, classified in general racist terms as we do occasionally in South Africa, where I know that you are calling for the release of Clive Derby-Lewis and Johannes Valush?
Yes, for example.
Who is African that you would call for the release of?
There are. I don't know their names, but there are.
Okay.
From all sides.
Right. And would you say that you are an exclusive party or not? And if so, why would you want to be exclusive? Some people are pointing fingers and saying that it might be an exclusive party, going back to the dark ages, the dinosaur dynasty of the Nationalist Party of South Africa, earlier times, pre-apartheid times. Perhaps you could highlight why that is not true.
We stand for real truth and real reconciliation for the benefit of everybody, practically.
Okay. And what is your view about the contentious issue of, I think that it's the fourth ranked most important issue that most of the world, in fact, is talking about, globalization in terms of climate change?
Climate change is caused by wars, such as NATO's jihad against Yugoslavia. Global warming is caused by the use of depleted uranium, by the use of cluster bombs, by the bombing of petrochemical institutions, petrochemical factories, all which was done by pervert Clinton and his deputy. And it was, and in this regard, it was hypocrite. There are many hypocrite things in this world. There are many hypocrite things in South Africa. One of the hypocrite things was giving the Nobel Prize for Peace to the person, if I can call him like that, who was Pervert Clinton's deputy.
Okay, are you prepared to mention a name?
Well, Ali Goring, Ali Gurnisht, whatever his name is, yes.
Okay. Now, since I personally haven't heard of him, it's a fact that I've never heard of this gentleman. I would probably be able to find out who he is on Google. But you say he's a deputy of former President Clinton.
Yes.
How is that? How did that come to be? Because he sounds like he might not be an American for a start.
Oh no, I mean he's an American. For a purpose. I mean, the Bible says that some names you must twist.
Okay. And is that also in
regards for President Clinton? Yes, and in regards for one of my email addresses, not my main one. One of my email addresses is Dick Goldschmuck. Yes.
Okay. This leads to another interesting question. How will your party endure the onslaught of your enemies? And perhaps this onslaught would be conducted in a fashion of people trying to ridicule the objectives and motives and leadership and thought that has gone into the development of the Truth and Reconciliation Party of South Africa. Leading further to this question, which political parties that are currently in existence will you prefer to align and affiliate with, and which political parties would you consider not necessarily opposing or opponent to you, but juxtapositioned is perhaps a better word if one wanted to be more subtle in one's terminology?
First of all, when needed, one must consider forming coalition with any party. But of course, it is more comfortable to form coalitions with parties like the Freedom Front, the Inkatha Freedom Party, than with ANC's tripartite alliance.
Okay. The first part of the question, I'm not sure if I heard a clear and direct answer about facing the onslaught, where I am convinced that your opponents or people that wouldn't agree with your concepts would utilize tools and tactics like ridicule and a number of other types of subversion. We've heard of people like Clive Derby-Lewis fighting his case to be released, and where evidence from his laptop has been erased from the hard disk when his hard disk and laptop have been removed from his prison cell.
Yes.
For no rhyme or reason. It actually amounts to theft.
It is theft, yes.
If you have enemies and they might resort to such tactics, what is your view about how you would endure this?
Well, such tactics, which are criminal tactics, should be answered for in court.
Okay, so you would oppose, or not necessarily oppose, but defend yourself using the justice system. Is that what you are saying?
Yes.
Okay, and I assume that if you have a strong, I'd steer clear of using the word radical stance, you would not hesitate to use legal means for relief.
Yes.
Okay. There's a website that I know has been published about the Truth and Reconciliation Party's formation in South Africa. There is on the website reference to Dr. Sheshel.
Yes.
Please elaborate slightly on this.
Dr. Sheshel is a genius professor actually of medical science and a genius scholar of law, history, and he is the refounder after the communist era of the Serbian Radical Party.
Okay. Do you know why they would call it the Radical Party, and if that has any specific connection to the party that you plan to form?
The Serbian Radical Party was a known party in the era before the communist era in Yugoslavia. I'm not so familiar with its foundations or its foundings, but I agree with Dr. Sheshel's policies.
Is there anything that you can highlight in those policies that you'd like to see applied in Southern Africa, perhaps?
Opposition to NATO, opposition to the injustice institution in The Hague, opposition to other policies of injustice, of bullying other people, of twisting history, twisting the idea of democracy. Democracy was invented by Greece, even though it wasn't the right for everybody to vote. Alright, but that is something that should be also taken into consideration. But, alright, let's say democracy is the right for everybody to vote. Alright. But democracy is not the right for people to decide to bully other people, to go for war, to provoke wars.
Okay, so it is clear that the Truth and Reconciliation Party of South Africa is entirely opposed to violence in any form. Is that correct?
Well, one might say it basically, yes.
Okay, so it would mean that there would be a dramatic change in the political scenario of South Africa, where the Truth and Reconciliation Party of South Africa would become affiliated and find it necessary to have a military wing or a military stance from an organization that might be subordinate to the Truth and Reconciliation Party of South Africa. In other words, what I'm saying, my understanding of what you're telling me now is that it's probably unlikely that the Truth and Reconciliation Party of South Africa will ever develop something akin to Umkhonto we Sizwe, the military wing of the ANC. Is that more or less accurate?
Well, the Truth and Reconciliation Party doesn't stand for indiscriminate killing of people, of member of a racial group,
okay,
other ones. But sometimes I guess militarism is a necessity.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that the Truth and Reconciliation Party necessarily has to have a military wing, even though it might. That depends on circumstances.
Okay. And South Africa, it's now common at this time that political parties are affiliating themselves with specific religious groups. The COPE has now actually got a man of the cloth as the proposed leader, and the ANC the other day was rubbing shoulders with the Zion Christian Church in Moria, or in the northern provinces of South Africa, Limpopo, and the ANC Zuma was was blessed in public by Ray Macaulay of the Rhema Church. What is your view on religiosity, if one can use that term, associated with the Truth and Reconciliation Party of South Africa?
Since many members, different members of one same religious group may endorse many parties or many people, then the consequence is that religious leaders, in that case, in endorsing people, endorsing parties, endorsing candidates, can be regarded, if we can put it this way, as not relevant in